Listen, we celebrate all business owners on this show. The Business Shower Podcast, a space where business owners can shine. Building systems has to be a way of life. Having your own business just never felt so good. It's time to stop relying on 9-to-5s to take care of our families. Shout out to all business owners, because you know what? We are the real villagers.
All right, and welcome to the Business Shower Podcast, a podcast for business owners to shine. Today we have Joey Lowery. I'm gonna let Joey tell us who he is and what his business does.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm very excited to be here. Yeah, so I own a company called MediaShark. We're a digital marketing firm that helps businesses generate leads, grow online, outrank their competitors, in a whole bunch of different niches. So it's a lot of fun.
Okay. So tell our listeners how you got started on that journey.
Yeah, so it was a long journey. I think a lot of us realize, as entrepreneurs now, it's like, man, it's always funny when you look back and you're like, man, that was hell. But and it's there's still those moments for sure. But I actually was working for another company and it was going well. I'll say I was there for about 2 years, and we started losing some clients. And as a commission salesperson, your whole job is to grow the business. And so started losing clients. I started kind of diving into stuff, and I learned that what we would give our clients in the sense of reporting wasn't lining up with what like Google Analytics for their website would show. And so next thing you know, I'm getting canceled or, losing clients because of, let's say, transparency issues. And so I decided, I'm going to dig into all this stuff. And honestly, I really thought I was going to be wearing like the red cape for the company in a sense. And I bring this to them and say, hey, look, here's our issue. I found it. We fixed it. We can stop losing clients. And so I was actually at a digital summit. It's a marketing tour that I'm now on again. I was at one in Raleigh, North Carolina, and brought it all up to everybody that night. And so there was some liquid courage involved that night as well. And I was actually fired on the spot the next day. And,
oh no!
Yeah, but they just said that my core values didn't align with theirs. So I can't say I was right or wrong about what I was saying or what I brought to in front of them. But I got a good idea that I was right, and that they knew what they were doing all along. So I was really pissed. Obviously, I was upset with everything, and I kind of created this company called MediaShark out of spite in the beginning. And it really wasn't even meant to be anything. And I also they're named after an animal. I won't say who they are, but I was like, what could eat that animal? Like a shark could. So I'm going to become MediaShark. And so about 5 years ago, that's when the journey began, and it's been an uphill valley height, or valley mountain kind of situation growing this business. But yeah, it really just started from the beginning of, I want to be different and I wanted to bring something different to the market because what we were doing was not ethical by any means.
Yeah. So you basically started out in the marketing, like in sales, for a marketing company, I'm assuming, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. And then, they let you go because you told them about themselves, right?
I think so. Let's just say I opened up something that was not supposed to be opened. I believe.
Okay. Which is it kind of sucks, but look at the blessing that came after that, right? You started your own company.
Well, and I think that's one of the hard things too, is like, you look at diamonds, you look at all these nice things and you're like, man, how are they formed? It's pressure, and we look at some of the stuff that we go through, for a longest time, I was so upset and so angry with that company. I mean, even for years, a little bit later, I would never have been blessed enough to have my own company, let alone go down this route that I'm in now, if it wasn't for what's called the hardships of being let go, and things like that.
Yeah. And then you're probably thinking about all the money you made them. And you're just like,
yeah, because you feel like, I think, especially with careers and jobs and stuff like that, you feel as if it's a part of you just as much.
Yes.
And it's almost like your own little family, except they can divorce you in a heartbeat.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I think a lot of people learned that during the pandemic. Companies that you devoted your life to, right? And you find out during the pandemic, they were just like, doop, nope, bye-bye. You're gone. And yeah, you got to kind of start all over again. So it's very heartbreaking. And I can reason with that because that was me during the pandemic. I gave a company 13 years and I was just like, they were just like, boop, bye-bye.
And I got friends and I got family members all in that same situation where it's like, it's like a slap in the face, and you're like,
Yeah.
what did I give you for all this time? Just to honestly, kind of sometimes you feel disregarded or discarded and thrown.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So with that being said, we all know that being an entrepreneur is a tough road. So how did you stay focused and keep going during those moments where you were just like, you know what, I want to give up. I want to go back to work. I'm
Yeah.
gonna just go back in sales, right? How did you keep going?
Yeah, I think that was a lot of it's mental. I think that's where the hard part kind of comes into play is that taking a big step back and being like, okay, where do I want to go and where are my flaws? So for me, I call it the YouTube University. I'd watch everything I could about, becoming a better business owner, all the way to how to drive traffic for myself and just honestly, just how to be a better business in general. But then also, I'm really big into reading as well. So I found really good
Mhm.
books that are just around, perseverance and pushing through and things like that. But
Okay.
I think the other key moment, or not key moment, but a very key point of this entrepreneurial our journey was growing and, finding a group of people that was, a lot bigger than I was, technically, and especially in the
Mm.
beginning, but just really surrounding yourself with the right people because it's so easy to go down routes and paths that you think is the best decision because again, maybe you don't know better, but you're also kind of, in your mind about it. And then you have someone else that has already been down this path correct you and, help you speed up your process too. But
Yeah.
definitely been multiple different things for sure.
Yeah. But you know what? You said two things, and I feel like YouTube needs to sponsor me here. Um because everybody that comes on my show will tell me that they went to YouTube University, right? So
Yep. Yeah.
so that's one thing you said. And then the next thing you said is you surrounded yourself with like-minded individuals, which
Mhm.
I think is so key in becoming an entrepreneur. Me and my friends have actually started a Sunday business chat, right? That's what we're
That's
calling
awesome.
it right now. Yeah, and we talk about our businesses, and I feel like it is so important to have that little community of people that you can talk to and kind of
Mhm.
like bounce ideas off of, and see how somebody is using one CRM when you're using this CRM. So I feel like that is a really good thing that you did was surround yourself by
Yeah.
like-minded individuals.
And I've seen a lot of business because I get to work with a lot of businesses. From a standpoint of just call it the local mom and pop type restaurant to lawn care, dental, chiropractic, all the way up to we had Sprint as a client as well for a period of time.
Oh,
So we've definitely had some, let's call it different types of budgets we've worked with. But when I've got to be close to the business owners or even sometimes the partners of the businesses, it's always interesting when you can see kind of why they're in the positions they're in. And they're always talking about they call it their circle of friends, or their circle of influence.
mm,
And you definitely can
mm,
see successful, even people, that are, not necessarily business owners, but just in general, that always, highly praise their circle of influence, we'll call it. And if
yeah.
it's missing, you can definitely see that too.
Yes, absolutely right. Okay. So with that being said, outside of your circle of friends, did you have like a mentor that you would meet with to kind of keep you on track with your business goals, or
No, not really. I
okay,
had no degree, no background in really anything that related to
okay,
owning a business by any means.
okay.
And the one thing that I wish I did, I really did. I mean, if I could go back in time and say, hey, you need to find somebody that you could, attach yourself to, even if it's a
Mhm,
paid situation. I mean, there are plenty of coaches that are, I don't want to call them
mhm.
therapists necessarily, but they're there to help you persevere. They
Yeah.
feel like they're therapists, I think sometimes, or psychologists, but no, I really had no background in this. And so really what it was like, I knew that if I'm going to start this on my own, one, all the ships were burnt anyway. So there was no turning back. But
Hmm.
on the reverse side, it was like, all right, well, how fast can I get my first customer?
Yeah.
And that's what I really solved for. It was like, how quickly can I create sales materials? And I knew what I was doing, because I had been doing it for the other business. And it's like, all right, I'm just going to rinse and repeat. I don't need to create a brand new company that does brand new things and is this new shiny tool, at Home Depot. People are still
Hmm.
buying the same materials, that are at Home Depot, Lowe's. I just need to figure out how to get those people walking to those customer or those stores, call it my competitors, and have them over to me. And so that
Yeah.
really was the um, perseverance through the fire was just how fast and how quickly I can get everything out and just start making a name for myself.
Okay. 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 Great. So What about now? What other resources did you use? So I know you said YouTube was a big one.
Yep.
Was there any other resources that, are kind of not as big as YouTube that you can share with some of our listeners?
Yeah, sure. I think the one thing that is really important when it comes to, I want to mention YouTube again for a second.
Mhm.
YouTube is like the TV in a sense. So you know your channels, and you have plenty of channels out there, from you want to call it the cat videos all the way down to, I feel like, how to change an oil, how to build something. Everything is on YouTube. But the truth is,
Yes.
there's a lot of amazing how-to videos that are on YouTube about products and services that you can use for your business. One of the big things
Mhm.
right now, I think, that is a home run is utilizing sites for automatic or AI, like
Mm.
blog writing, things like that. The
Okay.
the key moment, I think, what I realized when I was helping other businesses was like, Google's a machine. So if you want to rank your business, and you want to outrank your competitors, Google doesn't know what a pumpkin pie tastes like, but
No.
Google does know a certain structure and a certain type of language that, more or less, it's going to, crawl to say, I favor this website or I don't. So
Mhm.
what I've learned was like tools like Copymatic. I mean, obviously you can use ChatGPT too, but
Yeah.
finding an AI blog writing tool that's going to help you literally write blogs about your business. That way, Google can actually see that you're the authority, so you can actually gain more leads and sales. Was one of those crucial moments where I'm like, okay, so this is a great tool, great way to utilize, something I don't have necessarily the bandwidth to, write 5 blogs a week on this product or service. And so we've
Mhm.
actually had a lot of clients actually go down that route too now, of using AI to kind of automate their process, especially in blog writing.
Okay.
So
And just repeat the name of the other one. I know Chat GPT. What's the other one?
Copymatic, I think it's
Copymat.
copymatic.ai. And I want to say it's a paid tool. I'm not affiliated with them, but I want to say it's
Yeah.
like $37 a month. And you can, I mean, shoot, I think you can write upwards to 100,000 words a month from it. And it pops out these blogs around all these different topics, but they're all SEO optimized. So,
Okay.
if you're looking at your website, and one of the key things I mean, every listener should look at it like this is your website's a library, and those
Mhm.
pages are aisles in the library. Well,
Mhm.
and then the books are the blogs. So if you walk into a local library and you just see 2 aisles with a bunch of books everywhere, or literally no books, you're going to think, hey, this is a pretty crappy library.
Mhm.
Google's looking at your website the same way. So you
Yeah.
need to actually build out, your aisles and your pages for your website if you want Google to outrank your competitors, if you want Google to refer you business. So I tell everybody, go to your competitors, look at their website, and see how many
Mhm.
pages they have, and put out a couple more pages than they do. It's just really important because Google wants to refer the best quality. And
Mhm.
it's not necessarily about quantity, but it is quality. And if Google
Yeah.
sees that your website is the resource and let's say, the authoritative voice around a subject or service, you're going to get the leads, and Google's going to refer
Yeah.
you the traffic.
Yeah. And you know what? I love that because these are, and I hope everybody who's listening is taking notes because these are gems. Okay. Like he said, your website is your library. So it definitely, you need to, make sure that your website is at top notch. And then
Mm-hmm.
the second thing you said was that, you want to make sure you're getting the best traffic, you're getting all the leads, so you need to make sure that you have those buzzwords in there.
Yep. And that's
So those were 100% dreams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and go to YouTube. Like, literally, I think one of the coolest thing is there's a tool called Ahrefs, and that's AH and then REFS .com.
Mhm.
And it's $100 a month. It is worth it as a business owner, 100%. And what you can do is you can put your website in there or your competitors, and will tell you what keywords that you rank for and the ones that you don't. And then once you learn how to use the tool a little bit, you can actually be like, or look at keywords that have super easy difficulty to rank for, but they could be driving 1,000 to 2,000 people, to your competitor's website. And all you got to do is basically create AI content around those topics and keywords. And then next thing you know, you'll start seeing those people now coming to you because you're,
Yeah.
optimizing your website and going after keywords like Google's like, hey, we have people looking for this kind of stuff and there's not a lot of competition.
Mhm.
Just basically put in the work, show us that you're the authority and we'll send them over to you.
Exactly. And I'm gonna put all of this in the show notes, guys. So I will list those names and you guys can go check them out. Well, thank you so much for sharing those gems with us. So going into the next one, we've kind of already touched it a little bit, but the next question is productivity software and tools. So you mentioned ChatGPT, you mentioned, I can't remember the other name of it.
Oh, yeah. So Copymatic and
Copymatic.
yep.
Yes. what other tools have you used? Any CRMs that you feel
Yeah.
like have saved your life?
On the CRM side, not so much, because I feel like everything. This is where I really think there's an issue right now in the world of marketing to technology to, let's call it, operations. There's just so many fancy tools out there, and so me and you might be using one, and then all of a sudden a friend comes in and says, "Oh my gosh, you got to try this one." And it's like, well, I just spent damn near, I don't know how many hours learning this one. Now you want me to try, and they're like, "Well, it's just way better." So I don't really have any that I would say, okay, hey, this is the home run. I mean, I've tried Close.io, which is a great, very reasonable CRM. I don't spend the money to have Salesforce personally for the team.
Yeah,
I think it's too expensive for what you get. But
it is.
and there's plenty of stuff like Monday.com is a really great tool for keeping stuff on track. But the other thing that I think a lot of people just don't realize, which again, this is not a tool necessarily, but hiring and outsourcing and finding a VA that's in the Philippines, you can look into Venezuela, things like that, and they're so reasonable and they are dedicated to your business. So you can actually, and I won't want to call it these, not replacing a CRM, but when you're coming down to operations and scheduling and getting stuff done, it's like, all right, we have our call CRM, our hub, but who's handling all these emails, who's responding to some of these orders, who's processing some of the stuff that we're doing. And so, I mean, you can find somebody overseas for sometimes $3 to $6 an hour, and they'll work 20 hours a week, and it's a lifesaver. It's not as expensive as what we cost over here, technically. So that's one of my big hacks. I mean, if you really want to talk about how to scale and not fail, basically, I would say get into outsourcing as fast as you can.
Yes.
And find one or two really solid people, pay them, bi-weekly or bi-monthly, whatever it is, and get somebody who knows your business and that will be your partner, and they work your hours too. And that was something I learned was, I was thinking, okay, well, if they're in the Philippines, obviously our times are switched, but they're let's say very hard workers, we'll call it. But it's just it's a great way to hack your way to success, and just, I mean, take so much weight off your shoulders when you're not the one having to fulfill and deal with all the drama and whatever called the dirt, of the business.
Exactly. No, I 100% agree. I've done that before, and it helped me out so much. So I definitely agree. And you know what? I noticed like a lot of the big companies that I did work for always outsource their back office work to the Philippines or to India. It was always outsourced. So
yeah, and there's a good site like called onlinejobs.ph that I think they're like $20 a month, and it's a job board. And that's a really great place to start. And I just like them. I've used them, so I trust them. But again, there's just so much opportunity out there, and there's people who just do the stuff that you're literally trying to learn already for other businesses. So why not hack your way in and have them come help you?
Exactly. I 100% agree with that. Okay. So what is one of the biggest pain points you've been dealing with these days? I know we are in a recession, and I feel like we've been here for since 2020, right? Yeah. 2020. I feel like we've been here for that long. So, how has that impacted your business?
Yeah, I think it's in two different ways, good and bad. I mean, we're digital, so we've already been, I call it, on the winning side, by being remote, and people need their websites up, they need ads ran, they need to rank on Google. So we've kind of walked into an area for us specifically, an awesome opportunity, because everybody realizes the power and the need to be online. Now, on the reverse side, though, we have seen that recession kick in. We've seen a lot of businesses, I mean, and just like we were talking, people losing their jobs. So, the recession aspect of what that is very real. But I have noticed on this side is, as much as we're automating a lot of things, we're losing a lot of human connectivity. And so for us, what we realize is, it's almost now better to be more human than it is to be better about, automations. So instead of sending out all these emails, sending out all these marketing things, just trying to be like, hey, I'm going to be in your face as much as I can, picking up the phone and calling somebody, calling the clients, or calling, the prospects, actually sending a card, mailing, just like things that are so opposite of what we're focusing on right now. And it is funny, as a marketing agency that's digital, I'm telling you to, hey, mail somebody a card. But the truth is right there, it's just people are getting so caught up in the digital world that I think we're losing the human touch. And I think if you're a business owner out there, a marketer, I mean, really listen to what I'm saying, because I think right now the one thing that we're missing is that human connection again. And if you're the agency that takes a little bit more, let's say business or product, takes a little bit more time, and you're willing to maybe mail a card or leave a voicemail, I think it's just going to go, or do wonders for your opportunity in the business. But we've definitely seen that too, because we've seen a lot of businesses like agencies, the big boys, start losing clients because they're not so hands on, and everybody now is like, hey, do you really care about my business or do you not? And people are really making sure and double checking before they buy, or contact a service provider, that the business is actually going to be the service or the product that they want. Versus before, it was like, hey, I got extra money, sure, we'll take the risk. Now it's a little bit more research, a little bit more of a deep dive and trusting. But the opportunity is there if you do it right.
Yeah. You know what? I call that old school marketing. Sending cards and sending actual mailing marketing. I think it's old school, but it's still relevant, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest waste of money, this is just my personal opinion, is birthday cards. I hate buying people birthday cards because I'm like, that's $5 or $6 that you're just going to read this and toss it. But I've noticed people keep cards, and that's the thing too. It's like, even though it's such a little thing, it's like, why is this so important to somebody? If you mail them a card and it has a custom stamp on it, they're going to open it. They're not just going to throw away that flyer that you mailed that you probably had to spend $2,000 to $5,000 to blanket the neighborhood or whatever with. But yeah, I think that personal side is definitely going to kick back in for sure.
Exactly. Because I open the cards when my mail comes. I ignore all of the credit card
offer.
Yes, I'm like, no. But if somebody sends me like a nice Christmas card, I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna read it. So that is a good marketing tool you can send, because it's Christmas time. You can send your customers cards, Christmas cards.
Yeah, shoot, go to your local grocery store, pick up, I don't know, 15 to 20 cards, spend the money on it, write a handwritten note. And I just put it in the mail. Sure, let's just say let's say you spend $200 to $300. What value could that bring one client? And if you're a service product, or whatever, figure out the same way. You could even buy the little greeting cards that come with 100 of them. That takes some time. You might have some hand cramps after writing all the cards out, but I think it's going to go way further. And who knows? Maybe put a discount or something in there for your product or service. I think it could be a great opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So here's a question I like to ask everybody that comes on my show. What's and I hate to say this word. I'm going to change the language. I said it last time, but I am. What is the biggest failure / lesson, right? And what did you learn from it? What was your biggest failure?
Yeah, I want to say, that's kind of hard. I think from a failure standpoint, or even let's call it like a learning opportunity, was trusting myself too much. I think that was one of the big things, because, once you start having some success, you start seeing it work, you stop, let's call it, second guessing yourself all the time a little bit, because you feel more confident, or you take a little bit more, you're more open to risks, rather in the beginning, you're kind of very careful. You want to make sure you're doing it the right way. You don't have maybe the confidence there yet. And I think for myself was, we started landing some clients. So I'm like, all right, let's spend money over here. Let's sponsor this event, because having our names out there would sound good, and then I realized, I'm like, I'm spending a lot of money for our logo, our brand, which looked great. It was cool. But looking, for the fact that we're spending $5,000 to basically sponsor a party, it's essentially, and even though there's going to be business owners that could work with us, is that really the best way to spend our marketing dollars? And I think that was one of my failures, was just like, all right, we have X budget, not being so careful on, are we getting X return in monitoring that stuff, rather than, all right, well, here, I'm just going to, it sounds good. We should sponsor it. It's an opportunity. And then not really looking at, okay, would this really benefit us, or should we put that $5,000 and run Facebook ads that could actually generate leads? So that was something that I will say was it was a hard lesson, but you kind of have to do it and experience it to make sure you now learn from it.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And I think a lot of business owners learn that the hard way. You always want to, you think in the back of your mind, because even me, for example, I've done that before, where I've sponsored an event and I'm just like, nope, that wasn't the best use of my money. I should have done this. But it's a lesson learned. That's why they say you're always going to spend money and lose money in business. So
absolutely,
it's a part of, the journey as you go.
For sure. Well, and that's the thing too, is like, nobody tells you that. They're like, well, if you should, because again, other people have done it and it's worked for them. The thing is,
Yes.
it's like, why did it work for them and why would it not work for you? And I think that's the question every business needs to ask themselves before they
Mhm.
do something. It's why did it work for them and why could it not work for me? Because I
Mhm.
think that's going to be the key, is if you should do something or not. Because you may realize in that moment that business has a way different offer, way different type of product, let alone to be a different type of audience in the sense of
Yeah.
buyers than you do. And it may not be the route that you want to go down, and it might be a waste of money.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So let's look ahead
Mhm.
in your business. And where do you see yourself? Well, where do you see your business in the next year and in the next 5 years?
Yeah. So what I'd like to do is, I think we're going to get more on a membership kind of situation, or more managed services, where we're going to offer flat pricing, in the sense of, if you want to rank on Google, here's a flat
Ooh.
price that's going to be on a monthly recurring revenue situation. I personally am looking into getting more into the coaching side, working with businesses. I do a lot of speaking already on different conferences, but wanting to get a little bit more out there with my name, and going into more of that level of, hey, I'm a resource that actually wants to help. First being like, I own the business and you can contact us through that way. So really, that's kind of the big changes for next year, is just changing our pricing structure a little bit to accommodate, let's call it a buyer, let's say a buyer audience, like a business that probably has been screwed over a little bit more on the marketing standpoint, because we're seeing that a lot. So they're a
Okay.
little bit more hesitant to trust everybody right now. So just try
Yeah.
and make it more feasible for businesses. But then also, I want to say, like, again, work on my brand of getting into the coaching side. But what 5 years looks like, not 100% sure, but
Mhm.
hopefully still around. That would be the
Yes.
goal.
Yes, you will be.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think when we're looking at our business and things like that, I realized as a marketing agency, it's like, okay, well, you can market. I mean, it's like Home Depot. If you got to fix a deck, fix the bathroom, or whatever, you still go to the same store. So the
Mhm.
thing is, I've realized now, it's like, okay, maybe we need to niche down more and create products based off certain niches. That way, the audience, whoever they are, whether it's lawn care, chiropractic, dental, they think, which it doesn't really matter, but they think that we work directly in their field as well, versus just saying, hey, we solved this problem. And then the question is, it's like, who do you work with? Do you work with us? Versus, if we just go down this route of niching down, there's no question of if they work with that certain type of niche.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So tell us one thing, right? Because we just talked a lot about business, but what is something unique that no one knows about you or your business?
Oh man. I guess for the business standpoint, I have a weird obsession with starting a lot of little businesses. So
Mm.
I have, I don't know, probably 14 or 15 just different small businesses, ranging from e-commerce to blogging. I use AI for that one. I love testing new things. And
Okay.
so I'm really big into, and so I got to be careful, because I go down routes where I'm like, I've spent a week and a half on this project and, it didn't turn into anything. But yeah, I'd say one thing that I don't really talk about, or I don't tell people, is just I love starting little side businesses. And
Okay.
I've seen that be something that's a lot of fun. And I think there's a massive opportunity for people if they, focus more on one, but just,
Mhm.
really dive into that aspect, because it is so easy to find products online that you can, replicate, either do shipping yourself or drop ship it. And because TikTok, let's say, made it popular. Uh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. TikTok has spent all of my money.
Well, we just, and just to be clear, we actually just worked with this brand. It's an adult toy, and it's
Okay.
very famous on TikTok. And
Oh.
so, yep. And what was funny was, I, as a guy, am not familiar with it, so I don't want to go too
Mhm.
much into it, because I don't know how open we can be. But
I know exactly what you're talking about.
uh, we helped a brand with that, and I had no idea, never heard of it, and the search volume was so high because of TikTok on Google, but nobody was ranking for it, really,
Yeah.
because again, it's famous on TikTok. But what do you do when you see it on TikTok? Go to Google to see where
Yeah.
you can buy it. So there's just a huge opportunity in that. I mean, what we did was we started writing a ton of blogs about it. Now
Okay.
we got the website to actually rank, and the website's built from scratch. And it's been 4 months live now, and it is interesting, because it's like, all right, well, the theory of, all right, people are on TikTok searching products. Well, they're not, the companies aren't on Google, really. So it's like,
Mhm.
what if you found popular products on TikTok, created a website, either found them on Alibaba, where you can, just order them directly from China, or have it drop shipped, and you don't have to touch the product at all. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some unique opportunity, and I've had a lot of fun in that area. Just because it's like you really get to see something from zero to a couple hundred people going to your website a month, and you like
Yeah.
basically from scratch.
Do you feel like TikTok is the new way to market your business?
I think you have to be careful. I think there's
Okay.
opportunity there, but I
Okay.
don't think like if you think about Facebook, this is a good example too. Facebook, what are you doing when you're on Facebook? You're usually community engagement, or like looking up certain things, but you're not. Depends on the buyer mentality. Is the person that is my audience, are they on that platform wanting or needing my service in that moment? Do I think it's a great branding opportunity? 100%. And I think TikTok is very cheap right now for the type of audience. But let's just say this adult toy brand,
Mhm.
100% TikTok would kill it for them. Now, me as Media Shark, maybe because when you get on TikTok, are you trying to disengage or are you trying to learn?
Mm.
And so that's where I think sure, there's an opportunity for both. I mean, but I don't know if the business would be like, okay, well, we saw Media Shark on TikTok. I like what their ad was. Let's contact them. I think sure that could happen, but I could see TikTok for us being more like, all right, we need to put out 100 videos talking about how to do SEO, how to run ads, basically become a resource. And then because we built up trust through the organic videos, we notice that then now they start buying or contacting us. But I think it just depends. But like I said, the toy brand, 100%, because the type of user that's on there, especially how popular this toy was, yeah, ads would work great for that business.
Okay. Okay. Well, there's another gem for you guys for today. Well, Joey, thank you so much for coming on my show. Please tell our listeners where they can connect with you online, just in case they need you for their marketing services.
Sure. No, absolutely. And I appreciate being here and everything like that. But yeah, you can contact us at gomediashark.com if on the marketing standpoint. And honestly, for me directly, if you just look me up on Instagram, it's that marketing guy, and I'm happy to connect there too as well if you got questions about business, and especially if you want to start something. I'm always up to telling people, hey, this is what I think you should do, or giving some advice because I've built a few companies here and there, and there's definitely some, let's call it hacks, that can help you speed up that process to be profitable.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being on my show. And everybody, make sure that you like and follow him on social media. All right. Until next time, everybody. Peace.